Hey everyone, how we doing? You know, the funny thing that I hear sometimes when people are training and you know, kind of going through their day and doing their jiu-jitsu and picking out the moves they like is they're like, oh, I'm a little guy and this is kind of a little guy move. Or I'm a big guy and this is a big, strong guy move. So that's why I pick these techniques. And from the standpoint of a professor in jiu-jitsu, it's one of the most infuriating things I've got to hear. Guys, my name is Bill Jones. I'm the head instructor of top-level martial arts in beautiful downtown Cuyahoga Falls. I am lucky enough to be a black belt under Master Pedro Sauer. You're watching Professor's Corner. Again, coming from the car, I knew it had been a little over a week since I posted, and time gets away from me, and I apologize for that. So I will do a few of these videos and schedule them out. That way you don't have to wait so long next time. I apologize. But I have an instructor training course that I make everybody that goes through my teaches in my academy. They all have to go through this instructor training course. And you may think, man, that's a weird thing. You know, by the time you get to the level where you could teach jiu-jitsu, you kind of know jiu-jitsu pretty well. There's more to teaching than just knowing the moves. It's understanding why moves work. It's understanding how to convey the information from one person to another. I mean, that's a huge part. We've probably all met people who are really good at jiu-jitsu but can't teach it to save their lives, you know, like, or they just don't get how to communicate it to different people in different ways. And so that's all part of my instructor training course. But one of the major things I talk about is what comprises a move in jiu-jitsu. And there's two things. There's two different things that we need to understand. There's movements or mechanics, a mechanic and a movement that's the same thing. And it's any action you take that's designed to move you from point A to point B. And that might be, as simple as like a basic shrimp. That's a movement or a mechanic. An upa, where you come up over your shoulder. That's a movement or a mechanic. By the way, the car stopped. That's why I'm able to use my hands. So all of these things are able to be put together into techniques or moves, as people would call them. A technique is any movement or combination of movements designed to have an effect on an opponent. So that same, bridging motion, that upa, can be used to flip an opponent off of you, right? With our basic mount escape. It can be used to roll someone over you. It can be used in a number of different ways. It can be used to get someone's arm across your hip. It can be used in a number of different ways. And that can also be combined. You could upa and then shrimp, and then now you've created like this big powerful movement to start escaping you from side control. I think you guys get the idea. It's anytime I take a single mechanic or a combination of a multitude of mechanics and put them together, that creates a technique, and it's designed to have an effect on the relationship between you and another person. So they might move, you might move away from them. That's not really the important part of it. It's just that it has an effect between your positioning of the two of you. It might result in a submission. It might result in an escape. It might result in a sweep. That's the difference between a move or mechanic and a technique. That differentiation is very important because in jiu-jitsu, there are no little guy moves. There are no big guy moves. And I think this is a huge thing to understand about jiu-jitsu, is that there are simply mechanics that get put together in a way that is efficient and creates good leverage. See, little guy, big guy, what we're really talking about there are attributes, right? Little guys, what are the attributes of little guys typically? They tend to be faster. They tend to be more flexible. Big guys tend to be stronger and heavier. And you can't depend on any of those things, right? Because as we age, or differing athletic abilities are going to determine different levels of athleticism as far as flexibility and just even spatial awareness, right? You meet those people who can just see a move or feel a move once and just know it. You can't depend on that for technique. So those attributes, the attributes of being a small person or a big person or a flexible person or a strong person, think of those attributes as like your reserve tank. Once you apply a technique or a movement, The attributes can certainly come by and bolster that. So let's take a throw, for example. If I execute a throw and I am a pretty strong person, certainly if the mechanics of the throw are correct, once I throw that person, I can then make it more forceful than someone who's, say, not strong. I can slam them into the ground. I have that option because once the appropriate leverage was applied, the technique could then be bolstered by the strength. Or if I'm a fast person, once that technique is applied, I can then move into position very quickly. But that doesn't mean that we're forsaking the appropriate mechanics to do so. And that's what happens a lot of times when you say this is a small person move, or this is a big person move, or this is a strong person move, is that you're missing something. Okay, you're missing something that's important, a key detail to the technique. Because if you have to be strong, or if we're depending on you being little or flexible, then I'm going to argue it's not a good technique. It's not viable. It's not something you should be teaching to any kind of mass number of people. So that's an important thing to come across, is that the idea is that there is no big person technique, no small person technique. That's a complete farce and a lack of understanding of the art. Now, are there moves that lend themselves a little better to that? I think only because, we see a lot of people do it in sport. And anytime you get into sport, those attributes matter. We're talking about weight divisions. Everybody's the same weight. Everybody's, going to have similar strength. So if someone's a little stronger or a little bigger within their weight class, those things start to make a difference. I think also because if you're flexible, certain techniques tend to lend themselves to you, meaning that if you can pull your knee all the way to your collarbone, then that's going to be something that just feels more natural to you than, say, a big guy who's got a big belly in the way and can't put his knee on his collarbone. But that doesn't mean that the mechanic is designed for a big person or a small person. It's just that a small person happens to be able to do it more easily. And then I see, similar things where, like, a basic guard retention technique with a crossover move from side control. A little person will just fold themselves in half and put their foot in the hole, but they're still laying flat on their back. This is bad mechanics. They should still turn to their side and do it, because now their body is at a much more efficient position. So it's really important that when people are talking to you about techniques and talking to you about Jiu-Jitsu, it's really important to very much guard the way you learn your Jiu-Jitsu, and especially the types of techniques you learn. If someone's telling you something is it's like a little guy move, or it's a big guy move, or whatever, there's probably a lack of understanding going on. All right, guys, my name is Bill Jones, head instructor of Top Level Martial Arts. If you have any questions about what I'm talking about, if you're wondering, maybe you think I'm wrong, maybe you've got a move that's just a little guy move, I want to see it. I want to hear about it. You tell me about it. But thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys later. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. Have a great day.